Hi everyone, welcome to RV Afterlife. We are in kind of a loud location, so this is, I think, maybe one of the first times we've ever tried to do a video in the house. But we just got finished with 3 beautiful weeks in Idaho. The weather was really super good. We really had a great time there, and so we wanted to do a we're going to do a driving video, but don't be alarmed. We're not going to give you hours of driving time. And I have to say it was really hard to narrow down all the hours of drive time that I had, but it is such a beautiful state. I really feel like it's underrated for sure. In fact, if you've watched any of our videos on Idaho, I would say I think I've even said this in a few of the videos, it's kind of a place where time forgot. I mean, in fact, I don't know if you can see my shirt, but my t-shirt says, "Welcome to Idaho, set back your clock 80 years. And some of the places, that's kind of what it felt like. So we're going to show you the map and our route and the different places that we went, and Roger's going to be the Vanna White while I hold up the map. So I'll probably even be hidden. I don't know if you can see this, but we entered Idaho
somewhere down
on
there.
the eastern side. We came up out of
just south of Jackson. And if anybody's interested, we can list the highways, but we were just south of Jackson. We went to a BLM property, Bureau of Land Management property, just west of the state line in a little town called, just outside a little town called Driggs, right? Driggs.
Yeah. And so if you watch our videos, that's where we went to the Grand Tetons from there.
Yeah.
And we were only there for a couple of nights, and then
we continued on into Idaho a little further. We don't make too much ground in one day. We went up to Salmon, Idaho. It's a bigger town than most in Idaho, but it was still on the small side. A comparison isn't coming to mind easily.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Like Westville, for those of you back home.
Yeah. So we're going to show you on the map each leg, and then we'll show you a little bit of the driving video. But if you stick around to the very end, we've got some fun facts about Idaho, as well as our recap as far as what we like best and what we recommend. Okay, here we are, first time ever in Idaho.
We got a sticker!
The nice thing about Highway 26 between Wyoming and Idaho is that they have a ton of pullouts. There aren't very many rest stops, but if you're hauling your own restroom, it's a great deal and so beautiful.
Okay, when we left Salmon, I don't know if I can even see it on this map. We left Salmon and came down here to Stanley. Stanley is an even smaller town than Salmon by a magnitude of 4, maybe.
Yeah.
I think the population was in the 300s.
Yeah, it was
something like that.
Crazy little.
The only thing they did have there was a couple restaurants, a hotel, 1 gas station, 1 campground,
1
and
market.
it was full.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that big. It was, I don't know, maybe 20 or 25 sites. It was real small.
The campground, yeah.
Yeah.
So we wound up going out of town a few miles to a Forest Service campground. Forest Service campgrounds aren't free. They charge you. I think this place was a minimum of $20. And the road back to this campground was awful to say the least. It was rutted and washboarded, and you couldn't avoid all the potholes. We kind of feel like we made a big mistake settling on that for the night, but it was in the area that we were looking to stay in.
We thought there was a lot more to do in Stanley, but as it turned out, when we went to explore, there was nothing.
If you need an outfitter, that's your place for a river rafting trip. I can't imagine anybody wanting to float that on an inner tube. Those rivers are cold.
Yeah.
But for us, just passing through, there wasn't really much to hold us there for long.
So instead of the 3 days we planned to stay there, we just stayed there overnight, and then decided to move on. Wow. We are just outside of Stanley, Idaho, and we are looking at the Sawtooth Mountains. A little bit of a storm coming in. For the third leg of our trip.
When we left Stanley here, we came down this way, and I can't say what that US 20, I think, is the highway, into Boise, and we spent the better part of a week in Boise.
Close to a week, yeah.
A few things we had to get done while we were there. We had to buy tires on the road. Didn't mention that.
Yeah.
But they might have lasted another couple hundred miles, or they might not have. When they get that worn, you just don't know, and it's better to replace them than to take a chance on them.
Yeah. But we did get some business taken care of in Boise, and part of the fun facts that I'll tell you later on is related to this, but they had Costco, and we were able to just slow down for a few days, get some rest. We did see several of the attractions there, and hopefully you enjoyed those videos. But yeah, the Boise area, pretty uneventful, but I would say that it was small enough that we were still able to maneuver the downtown area, so we were able to actually find parking spaces. And the cool thing about Boise is they give you the first 20 minutes free, so there are a few things that you can do downtown that you don't need more than 20 minutes, and hopefully you saw those videos. We just passed a sign that said we were on the 45th parallel, halfway between the equator and the North Pole. There is a curve sign coming up ahead of us, and I feel like this should be the official sign of Idaho. Crazy, crazy curves the entire road, but what beautiful scenery. We are looking at a sign here that says that the Salmon River actually starts here in this valley as a small stream. Now we can't find it, but it is a mighty river by the time it gets to Salmon, and pretty awesome to think that it actually starts up here at the base of these snow-capped mountains, and it runs 420 miles before it joins the Snake River.
After we finished or spent our time in Coeur we took a few days and went into Washington and then dropped down to Oregon, and those videos, if they're not already out, will be shortly. We came back in down here around Boise again and came on down to Twin Falls, and we spent 5 days,
4 or 5 days
in a little town called Jerome, just northwest of Twin Falls. And Twin Falls is a really scenic, picturesque town for a town. They seem to have, they've taken advantage of what they were given and developed the Snake River Canyon for well, tourists and the local population. That's the place where Evel Knievel built his earth ramp to jump the Snake River Canyon. I think back in the late 70s, early 80s. I'm not really sure of the date, but the only thing that still remains is the ramp. The Perrine Memorial Bridge is 860, no, 864, 68
46.
feet, something like that, over 800 feet from the bridge deck to the water. And it's the only bridge in the United States that it's legal to jump off of without a permit. And base jumpers are there almost every day of the week. You can watch them all day if you chose to jump off that bridge. And some of them are, they've mastered that sport. Some of them are picked up by a pontoon down on a river, and some of them hike back up to the bridge surface or the bridge deck. A lot of sightseeing to do. The Shoshone Falls is there. We went to see that, and the young lady at the gatehouse warned us there's really not much to see there. There's just enough water to get the rocks wet. And she was right. She was accurate, but we figured we won't be back to see it any other time of the year. And they call it the Niagara of the West. But I'm thinking it had to be the Niagara of the West during the spring and early summer.
Yeah, that's what it is. In May, when they open up the dam, it looks like Niagara.
But this time of year, it's a trickle.
But if we didn't know that all the pictures that it looks like, it's still beautiful. It was worth going into the park for that. But I like the fact that they've developed so much as far as public areas, parks, use of the waterfront. We don't golf, but there was a beautiful golf course right next to the public park.
Enough to make you want to go walk on the greens.
Yeah, see, he says stuff like that. And not too long ago, he said something about fly fishing. He's never talked about fly fishing.
I don't like to fish, but something about the mechanics of fly fishing appeals to me.
See, it's Idaho. The charm of Idaho got to him. Not enough to go and rent the gear to do it, but wonder what it is in those mountains that make it look like it's turquoise striped. After we went through Grangeville, it just totally flattened out again. I can't really tell if these are wheat fields or what they are. Some of them are golden color like wheat. Go ahead.
Okay, after Boise, and I don't really remember how many days we stayed in Boise, but it was most of a week.
Yeah.
We left Boise and went up north. Our goal was to get to Coeur d'Alene up here, but we stopped halfway through at a state park called Winchester Lake State Park. It was a nice campground, but for us, it was tight.
Yeah.
We had a terraced campsite, so that as soon as you stepped off your steps, you walked up a flight of 3 stairs to another level where your picnic table and your fire ring and things like that were. We couldn't use that very easily. We had to make some accommodations because when we folded out our stairs, we hit either the side of the hill or the steps. So we had to, like I said, make a few accommodations, and it was doable because it was only one night. After Winchester Lake, and I'm thinking it was down here right in the middle, but can't see the map that well. We went up to Coeur d'Alene, and this whole western side of the state from Boise up, we don't know what the statistics are, but it visibly was the agricultural part of Idaho. It's the only place we saw a truck of potatoes, I think.
Yeah.
But a lot of hay, wheat, but on the west or on the eastern side of the state, we didn't see any or notice any of that. Might have been there, we didn't notice, but not nearly as much. More population on the western side of the state.
He says more population, but in some areas the towns were 25 or 300.
But that was either side of the state.
Yeah, it was. But they were more frequent on that side of the state. So just our recap of Idaho. For me, I grew up knowing that they grow a lot of potatoes in Idaho, so I was totally shocked at really how mountainous that state is. The agricultural region pretty much stems from the middle of the bottom of the state, which is around Twin Falls, all the way up to Coeur.
Well, and a few things about the state. The population of the state is only 1,901,000 people. There are more cows in Idaho than people. A little over 2 million cows. The largest city is Boise. It's got 237,446 people, as compared to, say, Indianapolis with 882,000, or Memphis with 628,000.
So way less than half of those other two major cities. And just some comparison as far as pricing and stuff. We didn't do a whole lot of grocery shopping, but the one thing we can relate to is the cost of fuel. Of course, our truck burns diesel. And to give you some perspective, when we left Cape Coral the 1st of May, our fuel was $3.59 a gallon. And even when we went down to Key West, the fuel there was $5.29 a gallon.
But you expect that out of Key West.
Yeah, you expect that. And then, of course, when we left Indiana, $3.49. So we were really kind of hoping that we were going to get fuel for, under $4 a gallon the whole trip. Well, Idaho was...
couldn't have been more
wrong. It was interesting because the locals know that fuel is cheaper in Idaho, but the one time that we were just over the line into Washington, fuel was $1 more a gallon there. In fact, just a little sneak preview, we're in Nevada right now, and fuel is well over $5 a gallon, like $5.40 a gallon, $5.30 a gallon. Another thing to kind of keep in perspective, and I thought this was interesting, there is one Sam's Club in the whole state of Idaho. It's in Idaho Falls, and we didn't even go to Idaho Falls. And I'll show you, or he'll show you on the map, the distance between where we did go and where we didn't go. Only 7 Costco's in the entire state. Get this, only 26 Walmarts in the entire state. So I can't even imagine life without those stores being readily available. So anyway.
Favorite city?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my favorite city was Twin Falls. I could see myself living there if it didn't get so stinking cold. A lot to do. I love the fact that there were waterfalls in so many areas. Beautiful public parks. That whole base jumping thing, I could watch that all day. It was... Yeah, that was Twin Falls. Yeah. I like that area. I like the downtown and the fact that they had a Costco. So I would say my pick would be Twin Falls.
Well, this is my favorite is kind of odd for us because she's usually got the champagne taste on the on the beer budget. But my favorite town was Coeur d'Alene, and I was in good company because people like Shaquille O'Neal own a house there. Matthew McConaughey owns a house there. A lot of people in multi-million-dollar homes. As a matter of fact, it's the most expensive city in the country to buy real estate. So we won't be moving there anytime soon.
Yeah. No, that's
But it's
not on the list.
it's very beautiful. It's got an incredible lakefront. The Lake Coeur d'Alene, right?
Mm-hmm.
It covers an area of 49 square miles, surface miles. So a lot to do on the lake. There's marinas and seaplane excursions and boat rentals, and you name it. If you can do it in the water, they have it there.
Well, and they've really developed the waterfront there. So there's beautiful parks, there's beaches. They've got that longest boardwalk. You hopefully saw that on the video.
Just as by way of explanation, if you thought we were having an earthquake when the camera started vibrating, it was just the washing machine spinning out.
Yeah.
No biggie.
Well, we enjoyed Idaho. We hope you enjoyed following along.
I'm glad we took the time that we did.
It was really a big wow, and glad that we went, but it was starting to get cold there, so it's time to go.
And it's still time to go. It's still getting cold here in Nevada.
Okay, we'll see you next time.